So we'll go ahead and get started. Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Valerie Malecki. I own the Apex Travel Company. And part of that company, I'm doing business as Totally Tuscany Villas and Tours. So if you receive an invoice or a contract, you'll see it as the Apex Travel Company. It's basically one and the same. I've been in business for over 10 years, specializing in Tuscany. I started there basically renting villas in the type of Airbnb platform and through my website. And then I started adding wine tastings and activities like cooking classes and selling chef's dinners to people who were renting a villa. And then I realized I really enjoyed organizing all of that. And if I were going to spend a lot of time doing that for just a couple of people renting one villa, why not large tours? And so about 4 or 5 years ago is when I really started doing the larger group tours. I mainly work out of central Tuscany. That's where I started. I live there part-time. I have an apartment in a town called Certaldo, which is in the Chianti countryside. I have a large villa there on the hillside. So all of the villas that I work with for my tours, I'm a rental agent with those villas. For the most part, I'm pretty exclusive. The people that I work with have chosen me to represent their villas and bring my groups. So what I do in Tuscany is fairly unique in that most tour companies either have just a few people that they do a private kind of a day tour, or the larger tours stay in hotels and you normally stay in the main city, do one activity, and then just go through the next main city. What I do is focus on all the real cultural types of activities so that you have a totally immersive experience. And I do that because that's what I love the most. I learned to love everything about Tuscany from living there. And my friend that I first made when I was staying in Tuscany was an American from California who married a count, and they had a villa in the hillside there. And she spoke fluent Italian. And so I really learned from her how the people today still live from the earth. And you'll find in being there that the food is farm to table. The Tuscans have everything locally grown. Most of the items come from processes that they've done the same way for hundreds of years. And for your particular tour, Pat had contacted me as she found my website. And when she told me about your group, I was really excited because this villa that you see here, Villa Vetri, is so fantastic. And it's a really lucky place to be able to stay there. The town that it's in, the region is southern Tuscany, and it's called San Casciano de Bagni. It's a very old San Casciano de Bagni.
Thank you.
And what the town means, de Bagni, is that they have hot springs. So literally outside of the road from our villa, there is a Termi, which is an Italian spa. An Italian spa is not like an American spa. It actually has thermal waters that come up from the earth and have healing properties. So this is what made this town famous. What's really interesting is that the owners here, there's a woman named Pat, and the chef is Francesco. She comes from Genoa, and he comes from Rome and married a Tuscan woman from Montepulciano, which is a nearby town in that region. And they really had a great concept in that instead of being a typical Tuscan villa where things are left very rustic and very simple, they wanted the clients to have luxury. So they brought in king size memory foam bedding. To us, that's very typical, but in Tuscany, it's extremely rare. The two main villas that I'm using now in Lucca and here, Villa Vetri, have that. And it makes a huge amount of difference, especially for American clients. Europeans are used to sleeping on a very hard basic mattress, and we're a little more plush. So what's nice about this is they put all this attention into detail. So it's a renovated villa, and it has a farmhouse. The farmhouse is what they renovated into a restaurant and a cooking school. And then there's a cottage on the property. But what's really amazing is that the estate is completely private. So our group would be the only group on the estate. Everything done there would just be for us. In the center, it's open, it's grassy, there are flowers, we have the pool, but in the distance, there is basically, it's a forest, there are mountains, and we have a bit of a microclimate, which happens in these types of areas in Tuscany. So you get a nice, comfortable breeze, it's fresh air, and it's just really wonderful. If you just sit outside and relax, you just feel like a new person. So when you're on the estate, you're sort of in this bubble of having everything you can enjoy and have total comfort. When we leave there, we are in one of the most fantastic regions in Tuscany. And what makes it special is there are different types of food that come particularly from this region. And being in the center of it makes it easy for us to have all of these specialties. So first, I just want to go back to the villa. What happens in all of these villas is they're basically divided into small apartments and rooms. So some of the rooms might have a really big bathroom with a soaking tub and shower and a sitting area, while another one can have sort of a little bit of a living room with couches before going into where the bedroom area is. Downstairs on the first floor, there's a large table, like a farm table, where we have our breakfast. Upstairs, we have rooms on the first floor and second floor. So if there's anybody that needs to be accommodated and doesn't want to do stairs, we can assign the rooms as people need. Upstairs, there's a really wonderful living room and sort of a communal area where people can get together and sit and enjoy a cocktail. There's a terrace there. There are two terraces. So both inside and outside of the villa offers you really nice choices of space. And so while we're there, we can have an al fresco lunch. We're going to have a pizza party, and I'll go into that in more detail. And we're also going to be in the restaurant. So we're not just confined to that one main building, we're pretty much using the whole estate. So Bunny, you can go to the next picture. Thank you. So what we're doing is I tried to keep the price as low as possible. And the way that I did that was to include really interesting and important things that we want to do in that area, and some of the most famous places in all of Tuscany. And I mixed it with some more local things that we can do. And hopefully everybody likes the itinerary. So we have a full 7 nights at the Villa Estate. Every day we have breakfast. Some days the chef's breakfast is going to be more continental with fresh baked pastries, fresh fruit, yogurts, and that type of thing. Other days we'll have eggs and a bigger chef's breakfast. What we do is create a menu through the week where it balances out what you're eating, what time you're eating, and giving you an opportunity to taste all the different types of food that you have there. So we want you to have a full experience trying everything. There's a lot of attention to details that we pay, and we make sure that from the beginning to the end, we assist you in all the information you need. Bonnie, my assistant that you see on the screen, she's really excellent in coordinating things. So for example, when you arrive, we bring in a massage therapist. So after traveling, if you want to relax and have a massage, you can have that. We bring a lot of details. Bonnie coordinates all the information, all the payments. We prepare you before the trip about even exchanging money. You know, the temperature, like when I went to Tuscany for this past tour, I got there in April and it was freezing cold. It was like December. And I told everybody, be prepared because it is expected to warm up, but in the evening you need a jacket. So even when it comes closer, we'll contact you with information. So in addition to the daily breakfast, we're going to have an authentic cooking class. So Chef Francesco is our chef for the entire stay. He has fantastic personality. He works with all types of food and he comes up with creative recipes. And it's really nice to try everything. And he's the type of person that uses the finest ingredients and really pairs them well. And it's also going to be paired with wine. We have 3 chef's dinners at the villa. And then sometimes we are eating out. We're going to be touring the cities of Pienza, Siena, San Gimignano, Montepulciano, and Cortona. So Pienza, Montepulciano, and Cortona are the closest cities to where we're staying in our area. That's the southern Tuscany area. Siena is still in our district, but it's sort of halfway from where we are to Florence. San Gimignano, I don't know if anyone has been there. It's one of the most famous medieval cities in Tuscany. That's a really nice day trip. And when we go to Siena and San Gimignano, we have our guided tour with my tour leader in Tuscany, who's named Virginia. She's really fun. She's really nice. The clients love her. She shares her life, her growing up in Pisa, and all types of details so that while you're on the transportation, on the bus, in the van, you get to learn a lot about what you're seeing and what you're doing. And that's the best part. We want to create a full experience for you. We're going to have a cheese farm tour and tasting that is overlooking Val d'Orcia, which is the epic scene that you see the most Instagrammed picture. So if you look at the bottom of this page on the brochure, you're seeing Val d'Orcia. And out in this area is the villa from Gladiator. We're going to see that. And when I drove from Villa Vetri to go to my friend's vineyard in Montalcino, I finally passed the villa from Gladiator, and it became like a rental place, but it has like the cypress trees lined up against it. And so it's a lot of fun because just taking a ride through those roads, you see these amazing scenes, and we'll be able to stop for pictures. What's really nice about our group is that the most we can have is 12 people. And with 12 people, we have enough where everybody can have and do what they like. And we can stop to take pictures. We could take a little longer if we want. It's not like being in a large group where you really have to stick to the time and the movement and so forth. So I think this is something that everybody is going to enjoy. You have a nice group of your friends and you have, people to enjoy things with, but it's not too much. Up on the top left of this brochure, that picture you see of that little medieval city tucked up on a hill, I was driving from Villa Vetri to go to Montalcino, right outside of the villa, and I stopped and snapped that picture. I opened my window, snapped the picture, and then kept driving. And it looks like, a really beautifully planned kind of picture. But these are the scenes that you see in that area. Things are very untouched. When you see the picture on the bottom right of Val d'Orcia, what has happened, and you'll learn this on the farm tour, is that they have now restricted all of any type of changes or any sale of the homes or any construction or anything. It's completely frozen in Italy. So they are preserving that area more than any place in the entire country to keep it pristine because it's so important and it's so gorgeous. On the bottom left, that's a picture I took when I was recently at Villa Vetri for my stay. and I just absolutely had the best time, and I can't wait to get back there myself. I have a wedding there coming this October, so I'm going to be able to stay there for the week. They grew that wisteria and naturally have it come through the pergola. And that is really Tuscan. In fact, many restaurants in the Chianti countryside hang fake wisteria down because this is something in nature that they do there in Tuscany. But in this villa, everything is totally natural and really gives you that beautiful feel of being surrounded by nature and relaxing. The center picture there is San Gimignano. You see those tall towers, that's what it's famous for. Um, besides our cheese farm tour and tasting, we also have 2 vineyard tours and wine tastings, as well as olive grove tours. I have a team in Tuscany, and one member of my team is Donato, who's not only a wine expert, but he's an olive grove pruning expert and manages and restored the entire olive grove. And it's so wonderful to listen to him and to learn. He also studied the history of that Chianti region. It's very interesting. And where we're going to be going for that wine tasting is one of the villas that I operate my tours out of, the large tours. And we're going to be on that property, which has one of the finest views in all of Tuscany. It's unmatched. It goes straight out from the Certaldo hillside all the way to San Gimignano, and basically has not changed since the Renaissance. We also are going to have a chef's pizza party that's going to be on the property, and it's a ton of fun. When we think pizza party, right, as Americans, we kind of think like, oh, we're going to get a bunch of pizzas delivered. Well, to them, it's a huge party. The chef prepares amazing local ingredients, and they have a special pizza oven, and just the cheese alone is incredible. So it's not just a pizza party, it's a real Tuscan pizza party from a chef. We're going to go to the Italian spa that I told you about. And we're also going to have an organic osteria lunch, which is also farm to table. And that's at my friend's winery in Brunello, which is just simply amazing. And at the winery, he actually has horses that he retired that live in his vineyard. And one of them is a famous paleo horse. So the top right picture of Siena that you see there, in the center is the Palio, where they run the horse race twice a year. One of the most famous horses is retired in Montalcino in the vineyard, and we're going to get to see him and meet him. And you could tell him apart from all the other horses. He's really regal. Okay, Bonnie, you can go to the next page. That was my breakfast that the owner made for me with the staff. And she is a pastry chef, but she's basically self-taught, but her tricks and things that she does are just fantastic. Of course, I couldn't eat everything at one time, but she was polite enough to pack everything up. And in about 3 days, I tasted everything. She even does some gluten-free pastries where she cooks with the almond flour. And it just does such a wonderful job. So on the first day of September 16th, we arrive. Now, guests can arrive either at the Rome airport, and we're going to have transport to pick you up, or locally there's a train station called the Chiusi train station. Now, what happened recently in Tuscany is that Chiusi became a major line, and the government built up a speed train which goes from Florence, and if you could picture Tuscany, towards the right side where Arezzo is, all the way to Chiusi. So now they have a speed train. So either before the trip or after the trip, if people would like to do their own extension of the tour, they can arrive by that train, go out or arrive into that, which is really convenient because it hadn't been like that. That Chiusi train station is only about 20 minutes from the villa. The Rome airport is probably about 2 hours, just because it's a little slower with the bus. So when we arrive, everybody's going to check in. We're going to have a fun Prosecco party. Uh, we'll probably do an al fresco party, and they do wonderful, beautiful setup with the table and all the antipasto, and it's really going to be set up nice for everybody. We'll have an orientation about, uh, our tour itinerary, and then everybody's going to meet the staff and enjoy the dinner from Chef Francesco. The next day, and this is typically how I set up the tours on purpose. After everybody's traveling, getting there, relaxing, maybe having a massage, being able to eat and drink. And if you want to retire to bed or you want to relax, you're not traveling anymore. The next day, we can start a little bit later and then have breakfast. And then we do a cooking class in the afternoon. So we give everybody a little time to just get acclimated, take a walk, sit by the pool, read a book. And then when we do the cooking class, it's a lot of fun. You learn the fresh pasta, and we get to have all different, between the appetizers, the pasta, the main dishes. They give you some snacks even when you start. It's fun, it's relaxing, and it's a great way to start a really active tour day. So we do that and then have our dinner. And sort of like I said, people can retire up to our living room or however they like. As your group, everybody can decide. You can have your privacy in your own room in the villa, or you could relax together inside or outside. That's the best part. On day 3, we start with a local visit to the cheese farm. So this is the one near Pienza that looks out to Valdorcia. We're going to meet the Swiss family that purchased the cheese farm. They have their sheep that live there. You see the animals, you learn the process, and have the most epic view because the cheese farm is up above that view of Valdorcia. After we do the entire tour, we do a cheese tasting, which is really wonderful because we sample the Pienza cheese. And there are 6 stages of the cheese, starting from fresh all the way to aged. I think it's 24 to 36 months is the most aging. And so we learn about that, we taste it, and they pair it with their organic wine. And I have to tell you, every time I go there, I leave with, they seal the cheese in the vacuum pack, and I leave with packs of their wine because I just love it. And the organic wine has no sulfites. So if you're allergic to that, which I am, you really enjoy it. It's a nice experience. We're out in the fresh air, having a gorgeous view, tasting and learning and laughing and enjoying things. So it's a really fabulous time. From there, we're going to stop in Pienza. Pienza is an older city there, and it's a small city, but it's known as the ideal city of the Renaissance. And so we're going to learn about that, and we're going to have a walk and a little bit of free time. After we leave Pienza, we head to Montalcino. And particularly, we're going to go to the Brunello Winery. My friend's name there, the owner is Francesco as well, just like our chef. And he has biodynamic processes that make the wine also pure and without the sulfites. So we're going to learn about his process, and we get to taste some very expensive Brunellos. And even his non-expensive Rosso is just really fantastic. And on his property, besides the vineyard, he has an osteria, which is farm to table. So when I had stopped there recently, they just chopped all the artichokes that the chef was going to prepare for dinner that night. So it's what's growing in the season, and they have their special recipes. What you're going to find is every town or every part of the region that we go to has a different style of cooking, different process, different recipes, different herbs, different specialties. And so you start to develop your palate to learn the difference in the meats and cheeses and pastas and preparations. So by the end of the trip, you're going to be an expert. And don't worry about your waistline, because people end up with all the food and wine that we have, typically losing weight. One thing is we walk a lot, but another thing is all this food is fresh. It's not chemically altered. And even the flour comes from special mills in that area. And it's 00 flour. If you're not familiar with that, it's a process where when you eat the pasta, you're not really holding on to it. It has a different level of starch. So you get to enjoy all this fantastic food, but it never feels heavy, never feels uncomfortable. And it's a real taste sensation.
Mm.
And everything that I'm telling you about is not just my opinion, but it's what the clients that have experienced this really can't believe. They have a huge reaction to it. And they're really surprised by it. They're surprised at how much they eat and how wonderful it is and how it hasn't bothered them, or they don't feel stuffy. So it's a nice experience to do that, especially with the wine. And when we are in Montalcino, that specialty is the Sangiovese grape, which is the grape of Tuscany. But in Montalcino, the soil is a little more clay based. And so the grapes are big and juicy and flavorful. And that's what gives the fantastic Brunello wine. Even the Rosso is what they call a baby Brunello. It's not aged as long, but it's really delicious. So that's my favorite day right there. I could do that every day for a week and never be bored of it. And you just experience it in all different levels. The next day, being that we have that long day out, what I like to do is the next day sort of take it easy a little bit more. So we're going to start with the baking class from Patrizia. And I think this was really important to do because it's nice to go home and have these different tricks and recipes and learn from her what she does. She makes a focaccia bread, which is really soft. I've never had anything like it. And she told me she uses a potato flour for it. And that was her secret. So you're going to taste all of these things when you're there, but I think it's nice to even learn how to do it. So we're going to have, and if you're taking the class and you just want to sort of observe and you don't feel like, kneading the dough, that's okay too. There's no pressure on you. You can do as much or as little. And at the end, you still get to eat. So don't worry about it. That night, we're going to have a themed pizza party. Pat came up with her theme. Maybe she can mention later. And that's where we have all the different fresh ingredients from the chef. And they just keep making all types of pizza in the pizza oven outside in the cottage. And we're going to have music, and it's going to be like a lot of fun. And of course, we'll have a lot of drinks too. The next day, we're going to go to Siena. So on this day is when we have the tour guide, Virginia, that is part of my team in Tuscany. We're going to have a guided historic walking tour. She is very good with sort of modulating how fast or how much walking we do. So if you have some mobility issues, or you're not a fast walker or don't want to climb stairs, don't worry about it. She will assess the group, and she's going to give you all the history and information, but in an easy way for you to do it. So we have our guided walking tour, and you'll see the Palio, you'll see the cathedral. And after we finish our tour of Siena, we're going to go to San Gimignano. For San Gimignano, we have a walking tour. It's not really a long walking tour. It's more to give you the sense and history of how that city built up, the importance of it, even learning about the plague back in 1350, which is very interesting. And in that city, we also go up so that you have a view from the high area looking down. And for San Gimignano, there are a lot of artisan shops. So we give you a chance to go to the shops, buy souvenirs, pick up a gelato. That's where they have the world famous gelato. And then you have some free time after we go to the Chianti countryside to meet with Donato, the wine expert. He's going to teach you about the olive groves that I told you about. And we're going to have a nice little service with him and a wonderful wine tasting, olive oil tasting, and a little bit of a history lesson, which is a lot of fun. The next day is when we stay more local. So outside of the villa area, San Casciani has a medieval city. So we're just going to take a ride over there and let people have free time to walk around and explore it. Maybe stop in a cafe, stop in a shop, and just get a feel for the local medieval city. From there, we're going to go to the Termi for the hot thermal baths. And people can go in the water as much as they want or relax on a chair outside of it. Typically, they do have massage therapists there, but it's not very easy to plan or organize or know on that day. Things in Italy can be sort of, well, today we don't have anybody working there. The reason we're going there is to experience an authentic thermal bath and enjoy the water. And a lot of times they have like salads and nice little snacks and treats there and drinks. After we go back to the villa, and then we're going to have dinner at the villa. The next day we head to Montepulciano, to the old city, and we have a little bit of a walking tour around there. We're going to go to a famous winery, Avignonese, in Montepulciano, which has a very nice wine tasting. Some of their wine processes for their wine, Chardonnay is very special. So that's interesting to learn about. And if you like Montepulciano wine, this is a great place. The Nobile they have, which is the top level, or the regular one. So we're going to try that. After, from Montepulciano to Cortona is the road from under the Tuscan sun. And that's where the sunflowers are. That's where those beautiful winding roads are. And we're going to make our way to Cortona. And in that city, what we're going to do is, again, everybody has free time to explore. And we're also going to give everybody free time to have their own choice in dinner. So you can dine on your own, you can dine as a group. In case there's a dish that you want to try that we did not have on our menu, it'll give you the opportunity to do that. And from there, we head back to the villa. And the next day we have breakfast. And then we have departures. So for the departure, I put the departure as Chiusi train station. This way, I didn't want to charge for people having a transport to Rome, which is expensive, unless they need it. So if you want to have a transport to Rome, we can arrange that. If people decide to go to southern Italy, to Florence, to Milan, from Chiusi train station, you can go in any direction. So I felt like that was the best. That was the best way to go. Bonnie, you can go to the next one. And here are some pictures of the table setting on the top left. That's the focaccia that Patrizia makes that I told you about, and the local cheeses and meats. The tortellini that was homemade in the top. On the right is the special old-fashioned machine that they use to make the tagliatelle pasta. On the second row down on the left, that's the breakfast room. And we have bedrooms towards the foreground of the picture on the left. And then we have bedrooms towards the back upstairs. That's a sample of two of the bedrooms. One with the red is downstairs. That's the one I stayed in. And the one with the green is upstairs. That's the living room there down below. which, as you can see, is a nice relaxing area, has a fireplace. We have firewood included in our stay, so we can make a fire anytime. That's a vineyard that we're going to see for our vineyard tour. Down on the left in the kitchen, it just shows you some of the fresh ingredients in our facility. We're also at any time allowed to go in the kitchen and get something we want to snack on. What I included in the tour was extra wine, drinks, water, everything, so that while you're there, you have access to whatever you want at any time. And Bonnie and I will take a list from everyone ahead of time if there's something in particular that they would like, so that I know that we have it ready for you. And this picture heading to the pool is when you exit the villa on the main floor. That's where it goes straight ahead to go to the pool. Next one, Bonnie. And these are just the terms. In order to make the deposit, we already have the villa on hold. But to secure the reservation, I need to send the deposit to Italy. So as soon as people can decide, if you decide that you'd like to do it, what we do is send you an invoice by Square to make $1,000 deposit per person. The deposit is non-refundable. So I always tell everybody, please purchase travel insurance. It's really important. You can purchase it, for example, on Delta. When you make your flight, you're covered from when you take off to when you land and everything in between. You just have to read the details to make sure it's at the level that you want, because that pricing is lower. Allianz is a great insurance company to use, and they have pandemic clauses built in now, which they did not have before the pandemic. So once you do decide to book and you leave your deposit, I highly suggest that you get the travel insurance. Once you leave your deposit, we will send you a contract by DocuSign, which is an electronic way of sending a contract, and you initial, and it has all the information for where we're staying, how the payments work. Usually 120 days before is when it's due, but you could pay the balance at any time. We have a lot of people that pay in advance. In case somebody wants to stay as a single, the supplement fee is $1,200. And that's basically has to do because of the size of the villa, the fee for having one person in the room instead of two. The tips are not included. So the day that we go to Siena and San Gimignano, typically everybody gives up to 10 euros per person to the tour guide, and the bus driver about 5 euros, but that's at your discretion. It's not something that's required, but it's standard in the business. Now, even though we have our itinerary set with which days we're doing which, in case something changes, sometimes there's an Italian holiday and something gets closed, or maybe there's a change at a winery, we flip things around and might go on a different day. So in case somebody decides, you know what, I just don't feel like going out today and I want to stay back and relax, you can do that at any time. We just don't refund any portion of a tour that you're not taking. For right now, we have to have, when you go to Europe, you have to fill out a locator form and you have to get a negative COVID test. So we help you with that information and the link. The airlines also do that. I'm suspecting by next September, that's not even going to be in play, but in case it is, we've already got that in place and we help you with all of that. Baggage that's included is one large suitcase and one small carry-on. And that has to do with the transportation and picking up everybody and fitting into the transport that's included. And I think that's pretty much about it.
Val, I assume you've got specifics on the luggage, like the size and the weight. for the small
No,
and the large? You
it's
don't?
just, no, it's just a large suitcase and a small. It's not, for us, it's not about the weight. It's for having the actual suitcase in the van that's taking up the space. The weight is going to come into play for the airlines. And, what I try to tell people is be very careful with packing. You need a good pair of walking shoes. Tuscany is really, for the most part, the countryside. And even when we go out to eat in the osteria or the town, it's not fancy. You don't need to really dress up much. You need layers. So if we go out earlier in the day and it's warm and you have a t-shirt, later it gets colder, you want to have a nice sweater or jacket to be able to put on. You want to bring a bathing suit because we have the pool there, which is nice. So you need to not overpack a lot of shoes, a lot of jackets, a lot of things like that. More mix what you're bringing so that you always have something to build on. Basics go a long way and layers go a long way. A friend of mine that was assisting me on my last tour, she lives in Mexico, but she's from Europe, hadn't traveled in a long time, plus there was a pandemic. And, I cautioned her about a heavy case, and she just had a lot of stuff. She got hit with a lot of fees, a lot of times, especially for the European flights. And if you're making a transfer, they'll weigh the case and they'll check everything. So you just need to be careful with that.
All right, I just want to make sure I understand. Setting the airline aside, you do not have a size restriction for the large or the small, nor a weight. Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Great.
But we don't have porterage because it's a private self-catering villa. So whatever you do bring, make sure you can lift the suitcase up the staircase or, take it out of the van or so forth. You have to be able to manage what you have. That's important to remember.
Val, it's Pat. Can I ask you a question, please?
Yeah.
As far as the rooms in the villa, when you say the various floors, like how many, are you talking like 3 levels? Like,
No.
is it?
It's the main floor and the second floor. There's one staircase.
Just one staircase. It's not like
Yeah.
60 steps or anything like that.
No,
Okay.
they're not
I-
big steps. They're kind of small.
Okay.
So it's not horrible. Like I have a bad knee and I keep pushing off knee replacement because of the time it takes to recuperate. And so I was able to go up the stairs and I didn't have a problem.
Okay. I just wanted to double check that.
Yeah.
Yes. So the one day we have a tour guide. The other days we really do not have a tour guide, but we have transportation. Is that correct?
Right. And I'll be coming with the group to make the introduction to the person who does the tour. And so the reason I eliminated the tour guide is that would have been a big fee that would have increased the price a lot on the tour. And so because we're having the guided farm tour that they do, I will just bring you from the bus to the person that does the tour. I'm the registered agency there.
Okay.
So I didn't need somebody to do that because it's the place itself that's doing it. Like even in Montalcino with the wine tour in the vineyard, it's the owner that's going to be doing it. So I just need to get everybody there. And so that's why I eliminated the tour guide on those days. Same thing when we go to Montepulciano and we go to like Avignonesi, they're doing the tour. Cortona. In Montepulciano and Cortona, there is pretty much, it's not as much to it and the history as there is, let's say, to San Gimignano or Siena, because it wasn't as much of a major city. So it's very interesting and fun to see. And even in Cortona, I mean, it's incredible. It goes back to Roman time and even before that. So historically, it's very interesting. But from a perspective of having the tour guide, it's really not that necessary.
Okay.
Well,
Part is
from
more
the,
useful.
from
Sorry,
the time we arrive at the villa, what's not included in the price?
if you want to have anything while you're out at a town and you want something personal, you want to pick up a sandwich, a drink, something like that. I mean, we have,
How about the, for example, how about the dinners that are off-site?
the last dinner in Cortona is not included. So you can choose whatever you like for that dinner and you pay for it then.
Okay.
Yeah.
But all the other dinners are included, correct?
Yes, everything listed here that says we have the chef's dinner or we're doing the wine tasting, all of that is included, the tours, all the fees for those things I've included in the pricing. And there's no obligation to have to buy anything at any place we go to.
Probably if you want lunch, you have to buy it yourself. Right? If you want
Yeah.
lunch, you have to, yeah, okay.
Yeah, if you want something, then.
That was what I
then
assumed, yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay,
You're
this looks a lot,
Val, you explained to me, and maybe on day 3, I know you had kind of explained that to me as far as where you have, we were going to have the meal at the Osteria, the time of that, because I think it said lunch, or does it say that on your itinerary? But
Well-
you had noted that it's probably like 5 o'clock.
Yeah, right. I mean, in Italy, the restaurants don't open until 7. They don't start eating until 7:30, 8 o'clock. That's typical. That's too late for us. And it's too late for us to drive back. So and especially when we're out all day, it's better for us to eat at 5 o'clock. So I make special arrangements with the Osteria and we sort of have everything done for us there.
That's on day 3,
Yes.
right? But all the other times when we're back at the villa, it's probably a late dinner, like 7
Yeah.
o'clock.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we can always let Francesco know at that time that if people say, we kind of would rather eat a little earlier, whatever, we can let him know in advance the timing that works, and that's fine, and do it that way. That's the nice part about having the estate to ourselves and having our own private chef. And really, this is luxurious in Tuscany. And for what you're seeing here and what you're getting, any other company would only be able to offer it at a minimum of double the price. I personally am the agency that's listed. I work directly with all of these owners, and because I live there part-time, I was able to do all of this directly. And that is what's giving you this big experience for much less cost.
Now, if we wanted, like you mentioned, if we wanted to get something and buy something in the town, is that walking distance or how
No.
would we get there? Well, how do we get there?
Well, Chef Francesco has the van there and I have my car. And so because it's very local, he agreed to help me to shuttle everybody. Because
Okay.
if I had to rent a local transport to go there and sit and wait for us, it would have added a lot of money on the tour. And I wanted to make this as reasonable as possible.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. And
So that
they're so kind. Mhm.
I'm sorry, so that would be only if it were convenient, if it worked out, we could go to town, like if you were available to drive, or if
No,
nobody
we're
was.
scheduled to go. So in other words, on day 6, when we go to see the medieval city, we're going to have breakfast. So when it comes time for the tour, you're going to get a schedule when you guys come and we have the Prosecco welcome party. And I go over that, and it gives you the times when we're going to have breakfast, when we're going to be leaving, when we're going to come back, so that you know every day exactly what to expect. And then we can alter it if we need to. So we will have a plan and the transportation to go to the local medieval city and a timing, and then go to the local termi. Now, when we're at the Termi, if people want to stay longer or people want to stay shorter, or a couple people want to leave, I have my car and it's literally outside of our villa entrance. So, you know, that's part of what I'll do is be able to accommodate everybody.
So basically, Val, what you're saying is, if we look at this itinerary, the only day that we're going to be all together in one vehicle would be the day we go to Siena and to San Germano, correct? And then the other days will be being transported by either you.
No, on day 3, when we go to Pienza and that, we're gonna have one transportation. When we go to Siena, that's one transportation. It's
Okay.
only when it's local, going to the Chiusi train station, going to the San Casciano medieval city, or to the thermal baths, that local kind of thing is
Uh-huh.
when Francesco and I will shuttle everybody.
Okay. All right,
When we
thank,
go to Montepulciano, we're gonna have one van.
Okay.
oh, okay, all
Yeah.
right, that's, okay.
Mhm.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
but that-
explaining.
Yeah, I did that so that, like I said, where I can cut costs out and keep it
Mhm.
down, I did. And locally, that was fine. And the thing about Chef Francesco and Patrizia, they are the warmest, big-hearted, sweetest people ever. And they're so pleasant to be with. And they just want you to enjoy everything and have a great time. And they don't mind helping. So it'll be, you know, it'll be nice.
How far in hours is Siena from the villa?
Well, it takes about a half an hour, regardless of where you go, to get out of the villa area, like that town, right? Because that's how all these types of hilltop cities are built. And then from there, I would say it's about an hour to Siena. I would say an hour and a half altogether.
All right,
And then from Siena to San Gimignano, I would say it's probably 30 to 40 minutes. When we leave San Gimignano to go to the winery and have the view and do the tour, that's probably about 15 minutes. And then we get on the highway from there and go straight past Siena back home. So it's an hour and 40, 50 minutes, maybe a little bit about that. But that's the time where you can, after having the wine and some of the meats and cheeses and things, you could sort of put your seat back and, you know, take a rest. It's just worth going into the Chianti region, especially doing this vineyard and olive grove tour that we do and seeing San Gimignano and the tour of Siena. And so what I did is that whichever section we're going to, I put the transportation that way so that we're overlapping and have the shortest distance back and forth. That's how I grouped the tour days together.
Val, on the first day, if someone goes to Rome, is in Rome ahead of time, and say they get there Wednesday, do they have to get to the train station
The airport.
or the airport to meet the shuttle? It's their responsibility, or will the shuttle be able to pick them up, or the van at their hotel?
If they're in the city, the best thing to do would be to take the train to Chiusi station, because when you're in Rome, you would have to take this train from Termini station to the airport,
To the airport.
or a taxi is 50 euros. You're better off having the speed train to Chiusi and be 20 minutes from the villa. It's much easier and cheaper.
So then, okay, so then they would have
Getting
to get,
yourself to the airport and so forth.
Okay.
And locating where you have to be.
Val, I'm Linda, and this all looks beautiful and very well planned and
Thank
thought
you.
out. I have a question, I'm confused. Under the unused tour elements paragraph,
Mhm.
no refund will be given for any unused tour features, whether because of customer's choice, operational reasons, because of bad weather or any other reason. I don't understand why operational reasons are included. I'm an
Um,
old ops lady. I mean, I've been in ops, so I don't understand why that's included, since I know the things that can be avoided with good planning.
Well, because if there is something that for what out of our control can't be done, we're gonna bring something else in to do it. So we always replace it with a similar feature. So
Excuse
that's
me.
why. Mhm.
Okay, it's out of your control. I understand that, but what if it's an operational problem within your control? Then what's the issue? Then what's the problem?
Well, then I'll have backup transportation and then we either choose a different location with a similar experience. So
Okay,
that's
thank
pretty
you.
much
That's
how we.
all I need to know.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Val, you did an awesome job. I mean, it's so, you're so thorough.
Thank you.
and, Just a lot of thought and effort I know went into this.
Yeah,
So,
Could I go back to day 2? Day
sure.
2 looks like we're having a cooking class and we're going to learn how to make a 4-course meal. And is that the entire day? Is we're going to be at the villa and just having a cooking class, or could we add something on for people who don't need the rest?
Yeah, I mean, if there's something that people would like to add on, it's possible that we do, it would be additional to what is on the itinerary. Typically, the guests relax around the villa at that time because you have the large estate and you have the pool and so forth. So it's always worked for the group to do that, and it's something that clients have always liked. But if you would like to do something different, it's possible to add it in. But again, the way that I built it takes into consideration not only the travel, for the downtime, but the fact that we have the whole property and the pool and so forth, but also the pricing.
So you're saying if there was something we wanted to do other than the cooking class and being around the villa, that would be an extra cost to price that out?
Right, because we don't have the transportation included. But if the entire group decided not to do the cooking class and we want to do something different and go to another city, that's okay too. I would just need to make the adjustment in what the difference of that would cost.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. And also the cooking class is part of the meal because everything we're cooking is what is our dinner. So then if we add a dinner out, if we add the transportation, if we add, going to another city, those are the extra expenses that come in.
Got it. Thank you.
Welcome. But for me, this is more of the model and the itinerary that I went with based on my experience and all the tour groups I've worked with and what works great in this region. If you guys get together and say, you know what, I'd rather head out to Montepulciano on day 2 and I want to run around a little bit, that's fine. I can make any adjustments you want, but we have to do it as a group because we can't have some of the people doing the cooking class and some people leaving.
okay.
So that's something you can maybe all discuss together to see, what the choice is.
Sounds good.
Oh, what I was gonna say is, if
Oh.
everybody's coming from another place, like if you were going straight to Italy and going to that villa, you might wish that you could just hang. But if you're going someplace before you get there,
Mhm.
a rest day doesn't seem like the worst thing. But
Mhm.
we can decide in the future, but I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
That's probably what you're gearing this toward, is that people have gone elsewhere before they got there.
Yeah, sometimes, let's say you were in Positano, there's a lot of walking, there's a lot of, driving, getting out of there and stressful, even staying in Sorrento and coming out of there. Or, vice versa. I've had people coming in from Milan and taking a long train in, is all different situations. And this is what has worked out the best, because when you arrive, you have this big property and pool and relaxing areas, and the cooking class takes 4 to 5 hours, and then you eat. So it's a lot of fun to do. But if people decide, there are some other close cities that I wouldn't have a problem if there are a few people that wanted to get up and go. We could go to a place called Cinciano Terme, which is outside of Montepulciano. There's another town, Grosseto. There are different towns around that we could take a ride to. Even in San Casciano di Bani, out in that area, not so much in the hilltop, there are different places there. So, that's something we can consider if somebody would like to do something local like that.
Okay.
Any other questions? I think as a group, if you sort of,
Val,
yes,
I have one last question. I enjoy having a cigar. Is there a spot on the property where I can get away from the guests and not be disruptive to everybody else?
you have your choice of hectares. And you
Of
could
what?
of hectares.
Acres.
Okay.
And you could go out wherever you like and smoke your cigar. As a matter of fact, I'm doing a Sopranos tour that I'm working on out of a luxury villa in Lucca. I'm working with Joe Ganiscoli, who played Vito in The Sopranos, and he smokes cigars, and we're doing a cigar night. There's the Tuscany cigar production comes out of Lucca. So I'll be happy to get a cigar from there for you when I'm there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That'll be my gift to you.
Thank you.
Val, I have a question. Right now, we have, as you can see, there's 4 couples interested, and we're working on a 5th couple. Would it make a difference in the price point if we just had 4 versus 5?
Well, this was based on having 10 people.
And okay,
So we need to be able to have 10. If we have less, I will need to adjust it. But then, we could decide, if anyone wants to make any changes to anything, how we do it,
Okay.
yeah.
all right. And conversely, just say we had 12 people. You-
Well, the 12 doesn't lower the price
Okay.
much, because it changes the transportation and different costs. So
Mhm.
I did it for 10. It's basically 10 to 12,
Okay.
so that I knew you may not hit 12, and it was okay to do it for 10.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you see what I
Makes
mean?
sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just wanted to
I
ask.
try to balance everything and do
Mhm.
it as realistically and close as possible. Now, another thing, what I do is, let's say you do have 10, and I have some overage from what would have been the amount paid towards the room. A lot of times I buy extra wine. I can have wine for our group labeled in Chianti, and we can have souvenir bottles and extra cases that I'll bring in. So I usually do extra things like that,
Sounds good. Is anybody else, are we all okay? Or I really appreciate your time doing
Yeah.
this. And
My
Bonnie,
pleasure. And I have to be honest with you, I'm really looking forward to getting to stay there because I love it. I love the property. I love Patrizia and Francesca. And, you know, he does this because nearby they have the Chianini beef. I don't know if anyone's familiar with it. It's the white cattle that has grazed there for hundreds of years. It's the same lineage of cattle, and it's very special meat. And he even does a big Chianini roast and slices the fillets and has this balsamic reduction that he puts over it. And I haven't eaten it yet, but it's one of the menus that I added to a wedding that I'm having there. And so I can't wait. I'm going to have that in October after my big tour. I'm staying here for that wedding. But you guys are going to get everything in your food planning. So you'll get to taste everything. And it's really, they do a wonderful job. It's really a great opportunity to be able to stay in a villa like this.
The weather about mid-September, is there air conditioning in the villa? Is it ever needed?
You really don't need it because the way that it's built in Tuscany, and it's kind of hard for us to understand, but it maintains the coolness in the villa. And so they keep everything closed in the daytime and then can open up the windows in the evening. And so it's really very comfortable. And because in this area, we have the mountains all around us. So it's kind of like we're in the center. We have all this green acreage going out, and behind that, the forest and the mountains. There's always a nice breeze, and it's really great. And September is the best month in Tuscany, in my opinion, because in May, it can be beautiful, lots of flowers, and it's warm, but you're coming out of the cold, and sometimes it goes back and forth with the cold. September has always seemed to be just perfect. October starts to change. You could get cold and not be able to sit outside. September, we have the best of everything. We're not going to deal with the heat. We're not going to deal with crowds. We can have our al fresco dining, and everything's going to be set up for us with beautiful display and table setting. And these are all the touches that, you know, they do at this villa that is not done in other villas. So it's really top of the line, and it's a unique experience.
Thank you.
Val, one last question. When, I know you have the Villa Vetri on hold, when do we have to, give you our final decision?
I would say within the next week to 2 weeks, you know, the most 10 days would be ideal. Because we are holding it for me.
Okay.
Normally, they wouldn't even have been holding it this long, but they're giving us the opportunity, especially because I just came back from the tour. And, you know, being there and doing all the work, it's really intense. So that's the reason they even extended it for me as well.
Okay,
But,
sounds
you know,
fair.
yeah, when everybody is ready and feels comfortable about it, I would just say, you know, let us know. We'll take the deposit, we'll get the contract set up, have everything set. And then the other part about it is you can do the airfare earlier. It's not going to be available yet, but once it gets available, the thing is, the sooner you book it, the first people on the plane get the lowest price. And, you know, things have just gone crazy over there. Everything is sold out this year. Like as soon as the pandemic finished, it just went crazy. And I get messages from people all the time, and things they skyrocket. So this is great timing for next year because it gives you time to make the deposit now. When it rolls around to September or October, then you can book your airfare, pay that off, and then towards the springtime, pay the balance. So it's kind of like you're spreading out the payments for everything and getting in at a great price. Anything else? So we have this recorded. If there's anyone that missed it and would like to hear the replay, Bonnie can send it. You guys have the email for info@totallytuscanyvillas.com. That's our business email. My personal email is valmalecki@yahoo.com, and Pat will tell you I'm pretty much available all weird hours, 24/7, because I'm used to being in so many time zones and, you know, dealing with people in different time zones, and I kind of sleep off and on. So if there's anything you want, just send me an email or send the information to Bonnie. She's really great at getting all the billing out, getting everything done for you. So we're happy to help you when you're ready. And hopefully you guys can come together, discuss it and make a decision, and then we can move forward. And then this way I can let them know.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you so much.
Thank you, Val.
it's my
Thank you.
pleasure. Yeah, thank
Great,
you.
thank you.
I'm glad that you gave us the opportunity to do the tour, and I think that you'll really love it. You know, I think you'll love all the elements, and it's something that is diverse and tasty and fun, and you have a nice group of people to enjoy it with together, and that's the best part.
So can I get that video sent to me? Because I missed the beginning.
Sure, Pat, we'll have it sent.
Okay,
to you.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and good
Thank
night.
you very much. Have a good one. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.